My name is Anuttam Patra. I work at the Division of Chemical Engineering, Luleå University of Technology, Sweden. Today, I want to share the recent experiences that I achieved during this COVID-19 period about online teaching. The idea is not at all to discuss how to do online teaching and all this theory behind pedagogy. What just I want to say is what we did to convert our teaching to online module and what we have experienced. That's why I kept the name Experiments and Experiences of Online Teaching. I hope you can find at least part of it interesting and useful, and then I'll be really happy to share my experience with you. And if you find that whatever I am telling you have already done it, you have already experienced it, I'm still happy. Then I will know that my thinking and your thinking in this special emergency situation, we both are thinking in the same, and that possibly tells us we are thinking to the right direction to help our students in the best possible way. So first I will talk how we have organized our online lab. We could have two options. One is direct online lab, and that I know many universities also followed. So they are doing the experiments in the lab and broadcasting that live to their students. So only thing is that students are not present in the lab, and 2-3 teachers present together in the lab. One is doing the experiment, the other one is filming, and third one is helping with equipments and also helping with questions and answers. We have chosen a different mode. We wanted to make lab videos and then upload the video to the university server, and then students on a particular date and afterwards they are able to see the lab videos and make their calculations and submit the lab report. And that's what I want to describe you what we have done. We recorded all the equipment. So first I show you the glasswares used. We need a tall beaker that will be used for titration. Then we have a beaker for sodium hydroxide. You can take it from the fume hood. The hydrochloric acid, that also found in fume hood. We have photographed all the samples and all the starting materials that we need for the experiment and included that in the video so that the students can get a feeling how the materials actually look like. This is the picture of the metal both in powder form and in the bigger pieces. And then we did the experiments ourselves. And now I take magnesium. The students are shown all the readings. They are supposed to note the values, the readings as needed, like they do in the actual lab. It will be faster and faster as we go close to the equivalence point. So 2.2 milliliters more now. It is 17 ml. So we try to make everything like a real actual lab. Only thing that is, you can say, missing is that the students are not using their own hands to conduct the experiments. Okay, if you think that is a downside of the online lab, there may be some positive sides as well. The students can join, that is, they can watch the lab at any time of their convenience. In that way, they can even do the lab multiple times by re-watching the lab. If they are really interested, they can pause the video whenever they want, that you cannot do in real lab, and they can come back to the lab whenever they feel better, and they can always go back to some particular scenes if they are feeling interested or curious, and see it again and again, and that way they must be able to understand the phenomena in a better way. And I found one more interesting thing. Some cases I wished to show the student some phenomena in more detail, and I actually recorded the video in slow motion, or when I played the video, I made the frames moving slower rate, so the students get an opportunity to see the phenomena in a much nicer way. You can see that it's, yeah. I turn the light off, and you can see there are some yellow marks. Can you see it on the top side of the beaker? That is actually sulfur that is produced by burning carbon disulfide. You should write the equation for the sulfur production. I have turned the light on. See from the top. We have used, in most of the cases, two cameras at two different angles, and they are usually we placed in 90-degree angles. One, two, and as you can see, the color change is not much at the beginning, but you know that the result will be close to 15 ml as you did in your pre-lab calculation. The first one is giving you the clear front view, and the other one is usually on the table giving you a close view of the experiment. And often we had multiple teachers. One is doing the experiment and the other is recording the video in cameras, so he or she is moving between two cameras to adjust them. Sometimes we are even holding in our hand a camera for a quicker adjustment. For example, we are doing a titration, and we showed the color of the indicator in the acid region and also in the alkaline region, and also showed at the neutralization point, at the end point color. And that is at the beginning of the titration. One drop of it is what happens. I made the starter to start. The color is not very clear, so I put some papers at the bottom, and I put total 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 drops. And then we do the actual experiments, and students are supposed to detect the endpoint by themselves, and then they can do the calculation accordingly. Again, wait for a while. After we have recorded the video, we processed and compiled those using a software called VSDC, Free Video Editor. I guess you might have used this software already or something similar software. Windows has its own video editor, but we tried that at the beginning, but it was not that satisfactory. So we searched and then we found VSDC, and it looked quite good to use. You can find online manual as well as in YouTube. There are a lot of video guides that you can use. However, I must say that to do the actual experiment in the lab and recording them in the video takes time, but not that much. The actual time that took to make the video is editing. I tried to finish the job in the minimum possible time, not to do too much magics to create the video, not too much special effect or anything, but it still took enormous effort in the editing, I must say that. We made the videos and I showed other teachers. They looked quite impressed, but I can tell you that we could have done it much better. But we knew we had a serious time factor. We got just basically like 2 weeks notice that we have to make everything ready. So we didn't take any risk. We just finished our job. There was no rehearsal, there was no written script. Actually, I should say for this video that I am talking now, I made a script because it has no theory, so it's difficult to tell in the proper logical order. But in the lab, I was just describing like I am taking a lab demonstration or classroom lecture in a spontaneous way. We didn't use any special setup, but we used 2 extra light so that the faces look a bit brighter, and no more complications, no more. We talked as if it is a normal lab. One good side was that if we fumble or tell something wrong, we always had a chance to cut those parts during editing. So that's one good thing compared to the actual lab where there is no retake. And about this retake also, I found something that I should follow. When I started introducing myself like, hello, my name is Anuttam, and then after few minutes I tell something wrong and I thought, oh, I did a mistake. So I start again. Drop side. Okay, sorry, stop once. But soon I realized there is no point of stopping. If there is something mistake, if I take time to find a good word, no need of stopping, just start again. And during editing, it's easy to remove the parts that I don't need. So no point of doing the whole thing again and again. It's During editing, everything can be fixed. Just carry on once you have started. But it's my view, you can do in your own. Our university has very good photographing facilities, excellent motion cameras, and other essential photographing devices like lights and diffusers. But in the mid-March, when there is a panic that started all over, and almost within a day's notice, it was declared that all universities in Sweden will be converted to distant education mode. We didn't know where can we find the people who are in charge of those cameras and other devices. We were also not sure for how long we can borrow, as we were afraid many people will be willing to borrow them. At that point, we were in a real hurry. We were not sure how can we find the exact persons who are responsible for those cameras and other devices. What is the exact procedure to loan them? And more importantly, how can I find those persons? Because most of the people are supposed to go, or all of us actually supposed to go to work in the online mode or work from home mode. Only we should come to the campus if it is absolutely needed. So we wanted to make simple. We just use our mobile phones and use bullet stands to hold the cameras. We can adjust height, we can change the angles. So yeah, it's quite effective. It looks good. I'm stopping for a while. And once the video is compiled, we added a welcome page so the students feel a bit better when they start, and little music also there. And after that, we started directly explaining the theory behind the lab and what to do in the lab. The first one is a strong acid, and we shall use an indicator for the titration, a volumetric titration using this bullet. And second one, acetic acid, we shall use a pH meter. In the video, whenever needed, he was passing some information that you can tell as like footnote information. Like you have a footnote in the book, that's not, you can skip and continue reading the book, but you can get useful information if you read them. It is the same way. They can skip reading those texts, but they can read and get actually more valuable informations. This is the sodium hydroxide. That is 0.1 molar. You need 15 ml, so take little more than that. About the report writing. Like many countries, our students in Sweden also work in the lab in groups of 2 and 3. And they also write reports as a group. We believe it helps them to discuss and helps them to understand better from each other. Of course, there is a chance only one in the group is more active and he or she takes more effort in writing, calculating and explaining the results, and others just put their names in the report. But in the actual lab, all of them have to come to the lab, which is must. So we believe at least they learn something. They see what they are supposed to do, what the teacher demonstrate, what they themselves or their group mates do on the bench, and they also do by themselves. So it's not they are totally blank, zero learning. Even if they participate, very little in report writing. Now in online teaching, when we are making the videos and uploading, it's a different case. If we allow them to write in a group, there is always a chance that only one of the group member, again doing everything himself or herself, and others nothing. And then the danger lies that since they haven't even seen the video and also not participating in the report writing, so they will really have zero knowledge from the lab, and which is of course not acceptable at all. To avoid this situation, we decided all the students in this online mode have to write their reports themselves, so it will be individual reports, but it can also increase too much workload on the students because everything will be their own. So we decided at least now they don't need to write a full report, no introduction or theories, but they have to write about the equipments used, they have to show the calculations and write a short conclusion at the end. That is the major change we have done for the lab report writing. About the tutorial, we were actually more doubtful about tutorials than other modules of education because tutorials are interactive. In the orthodox offline mode, we used to have the group of students, usually large groups, 100 to 150 students, and they come to the big hall, they sit in groups or individually, they study, they can discuss among themselves and they solve problems. And when they are stuck, when they have problem, they raise their hand. And then we teachers go to them and talk with them. And we have multiple teachers, so we can entertain multiple group of students at the same time. But in the online mode, we were doubtful. How could we do that? Because if everyone start talking together, all students and teachers, it will be just a chaos. Like in lecture, only one teacher talks. It's not that a big deal to improvise. Or only one student asks in the lecture hall. So in the tutorial, we have to make some new rules. First, they have to post their questions in the university server chat room. And we can see the frequency of questions they are asking. So we understand what particular doubts they have. So at the beginning of the tutorials, we explain those points. And once those questions are all answered, we take individual questions, which they can write in the chat room, in the Zoom. Sometimes they wanted individual discussion, and of course we had still 3 or 4 teachers present, so we can assign one main teacher as a host. He or she can assign the other teachers with the individual students or a group of students. They go to a breakout room and discuss. One thing we found is shyness of the student. Many of the students are extremely shy to ask questions in the Zoom room in front of everyone, or even in the university servers chat room. They often want to ask questions by email or by phone before and after the tutorial session. We try to minimize, but some cases we find some students cannot really discuss when they are present in a big group. So that have to be sorted out. Other issue we found with Zoom, we wanted to have a single platform for permanent chatting and video discussion. In Zoom chat room, that's not permanent in the sense that if the students enter anytime, they can do that in the Zoom room and discuss among themselves. But if they type something in the chat room and we log in to the same Zoom room later, we cannot see those messages. Also, once the host closes the room for everyone, all the chat messages disappear permanently unless you save them. But even if you save them, we cannot see them later in the Zoom chat room in the live mode. So we needed our university chat server where students can go and basically post permanently their message. So teachers can go there and see what doubts they have. So we combined those two systems together to have active tutorial session. I hope you have found something useful in this webinar, and I welcome all your questions. Thanks.